All right. Oh my gosh, this is so much better standing right underneath this fan. Why am I wearing blankets in the middle of August? This doesn't make any sense. This is the sacrifice we make for the church. It's not air conditioned under here, I swear. So my name is fatherwagner.com, and you can come, that's my website. You can come visit my website at fatherwagner. Come on, let's try that again. Father Wagner. There you go. See, your responses need to be better. You need to say it with all your heart. Not that one necessarily, but all the other ones. You can say that one with all your heart too, because I say yes. Usually there's not a question and answer during homilies, but I think we'll go.
I was really curious, it just came to mind. Is it
both? Both.
Okay.
I have them both.
Okay.
Yes. Are there any other questions in this homily? I did that to the Pope once. That's how I lost this thumb. I'm just kidding. So, this is the Feast of the Assumption, one of my absolute favorite feast days and solemnities. It's a solemnity. It's equal with Christmas. That's how important it is to us in the church. It's equal on par with Easter and Christmas and the All Saints' Day and the Annunciation and all these things. And it's a really important day for us, and there's a lot of reasons for that. So I'm going to tell you a little story. I like to tell stories. I don't know if you know this, but you probably don't know anything about me, most of you. I actually studied in Rome for 4 years, where, of course, as a 6'3" pasty white guy, I blended right in with all the other Italians. I did major in eating pasta. That was my major in my graduate school days. So I was, as you can see, successful, because I was 135 pounds before I went to Rome, and now I'm a lot more. Anyway. So I was magna cum laude, let's just put it that way, in the eating pasta department. So let me tell you this, they didn't let us come home for 2 years. From 2000 to 2002, I had to stay in Europe. I wasn't allowed to come back to the United States, which is very hard because you know what? They don't have Taco Bells in Europe. I'm sorry, again, I'm not only wearing blankets in the middle of August, but I also went 2 full years without Taco Bell. I'm still trying to get over it. Anyway, so after 2 years, we were coming home. And, I spent my summer in 2001 in Florence, and I traveled around Europe. It was really great. And so I was, in the summer of 2002, my friend Daniel and I, who's a priest now of Pittsburgh, was coming home for the first time. And we were very excited, so we decided that we were going to go first class. And what we did is we rented a Mercedes and a driver, which it sounds like a lot, but it was only like $30. But we went in style. We went to the airport, even though we knew that when we got to the airport, we were going to have to sit in coach. And that was hard because I'm a big dude. I'm 6'3", and I'm a big guy. I kind of spill over into the seats next to me. And he was a big guy too. He was 6'4", and we were going to have to cram ourselves into these seats in coach. But at least we had a really nice drive out to the airport in a Mercedes, and it was leather seats, and we got to pick the radio station. And it was, it was well worth the $30, $40 we spent to get out. And you had to spend that anyway in a cab to get out there, so you might as well take a nice car. So we get there, and we're kind of sad that our nice first class trip to the airport was over. And we decided to get cappuccino. Has anybody ever been to Rome? Has anybody ever been to Italy? Have you? You have the cappuccino over there? You didn't have the cappuccino over there? I'm going to do this. This is what they do in Italy for people like yourself. Anyway, so did you see that? Why would you do that? Did you have gelato at least? Okay, well that's good. So you're redeemed. Anyway, the cappuccino over there is great. It was early in the morning, and we wanted to be awake for our flight. So we went over and got in line. Daniel and myself. And I'm kind of a jovial fellow. I kind of talk to people in line. Lines are great ways to meet people. If you're going to do evangelization, just stand in lines. That's great, because you got to talk to the people next to you, and then you'll get to know you. Then you say, hey, have you ever heard about this guy, Jesus? And it all goes downhill or uphill from there. So we did. There was this flight attendant in front of us, and we started making the jokes, and we kind of included her in the whole thing. And we were talking to her, and all of a sudden we said, well, where are you from? And she says, well, I'm from Ohio. That's where I'm from. I said, that's where I'm from. I said, what part of Ohio? And she said, Columbus. I said, I'm from Columbus. I said, what part of Columbus? And she says, I live over off of Sunbury Road in Westerville. And I said, my mom lives off of Sunbury Road in Westerville. We had all these coincidences and everything, and it was really cool, and we talked and everything like that, and she was really great, and she was nice to us, and we got our bottles of water, and we made some jokes and stuff like that, and she went her way, and we went our way. And we got onto the airplane, and we crammed ourselves into the coach seats. And cram is really what it is, and that's an 8-hour flight where I'm kind of contorted in there. You can't see my leg, but it's kind of contorted up there like that. And so I'm sitting there, and we're about ready to take off, when the curtain opens from first class, and guess who's standing there? But the flight attendant we had talked to in line. And she looked at me, and we were, of course, crammed in the coach section with the camels and the cows and things like that. And she said, she pointed at me and she says, "Sir, you come with me." And I'm like, what is she doing? I said, "I haven't done anything wrong." And she says, "Oh, yes, you have. Please grab your bags and come with me." And so I took my bags out of the top and I walked up to past the curtain, and she said, would you want to sit here for the rest of the flight? And she pointed at the first class seats. And I said, "If I could, I would hug you right now." And she sat me there, and she sat my other buddy in another first class seat that was open. And you know what? This is what it was. You had all the food you could eat. You had all the drink you could drink. Now, I don't drink, but it was fine. I had all the bottled water I could shove down my mouth. The lady next to me, by the way, oh my gosh, she got hammered. It was terrible. I was really embarrassed for her, but she took full advantage of all the free stuff. And all I wanted was a bottle of water and a pack of crackers, and it was great. So we're sitting there, and I'm talking to this lady from Texas who's progressively getting worse and worse, and much more entertaining as time was going on. And and I'm sitting there and kicked back, and I was so grateful to her. Actually, we're friends to this day, the flight attendant and I, because she's here in Columbus. I haven't talked to her for a year, but we get together so often. Every time I come to the Feast of the Assumption, I think of her. I'm going to contact her here, and she's still working for United Airlines or whoever we were flying on, and it was really neat to move up to first class, so we didn't have to sit there. So let me tell you something. Let me tell you a very valuable lesson in this life, not only for the Feast of the Assumption, but for your whole life. It's not what you know, it's who you know, right? That's what got us up to first class. I could have known everything about the airplane, known everything about United Airways or whoever we were flying on. That wouldn't have got me up to first class at all. It's because I formed a relationship with this woman, we both did, in line waiting for cappuccino. And that's what's got us up to first class. Now I want you to think of my friend as the Blessed Virgin Mary. She is already in first class. Not only that, she works for the son of the owner of the company. She's his mom. And so who better can get us up to first class than the Blessed Virgin Mary? And this is the feast that we're celebrating. Not only is she getting into first class today, but by her prayers and her intercessions, we are now moved up to first class, because we know the mother of the son of the owner. And you think about it, she is the one that is going to get us up to first class. And we don't have to go through this life, and there are days in this life that are very long and difficult. The journey is very difficult. We might as well sit here and enjoy it with all of the food and all of the drink that is offered to us in abundance. But we got to know the right people to get up to first class. And let me tell you this, those chairs that you are sitting in right now, those are the first class seats. You see, we're already here. And by her prayers and her intercession, she points us to the most comfortable seats in the house. And then what happens is we have an abundance of food and an abundance of drink, and it happens right here on the altar. Because we have an abundance in the Eucharist. If we were to hear the Sunday readings, this is the week when Jesus says, "I am the bread of life." Jesus himself is the food and the drink. And we have unlimited amounts of that if we are sitting in these first class seats. And so when we know the Blessed Virgin Mary, what she is going to do is she is going to introduce us to her Son and allow us to know him even more better and intimately than we would have ever known him before. So this is why we have to have a relationship with her. Because she gets us places. She gets us in. And she becomes the model for what we hope for. As we see the Blessed Virgin Mary assumed into heaven, we understand that we ourselves are going to participate in the resurrection of the dead. That these bodies will be raised from the dead, they will be glorified, and we will sit like her at the right hand of her Son. That is our future. And so when we see the Blessed Virgin Mary assumed into heaven, not only do we get places, but she is the sign of what we will be. And further, until we arrive at our destination, look at all the empty seats that are in this church right now. Now, this is a small retreat, but go back to your parishes and look at all the empty seats. It is our task now, once we are moved to first class, to go back and get people to fill the first class seats. And you see, that is what you are being commissioned for after this homily. You are being commissioned to fill the first class seats. You see, the Blessed Virgin Mary is an image of what our own task is to be.